The United States, man, it's just so huge, so diverse, that trying to get a handle on it all at once can feel, well, impossible. Every state, every region has its own totally unique vibe. So how do you even begin to understand it? Well, today we're going to give it a shot by taking a journey, a regional travelogue, if you will, to try and piece together this giant American puzzle. It all starts with a simple number, 50. 50 different states, each with its own laws, its own culture, its own personality, all coming together to form one nation. But think about it. With 50 distinct personalities, from the sunny beaches of Florida to the frozen tundra of Alaska, where do you even start? How in the world do you make sense of a country with that much variety? Well, here's the secret. You break it down. Instead of trying to swallow all 50 states in one go, we can really start to understand the U.S. by exploring its major regions. Think of each one as a big, unique piece of that larger puzzle. So here's our road trip itinerary. We're going to kick things off in the historic Northeast, then head down to the complicated South, cut across America's heartland in the Midwest, and wrap up our journey in the wild, wide West, before we take a step back and look at the whole American mosaic. All right, our journey begins right where the nation itself was born, the Northeast. This is America's oldest, most crowded, and, you could argue, its most intense region. You know, the Northeast is just a land of incredible contrasts. You've got the massive power centers like New York and Boston, the intellectual hubs of the Ivy League, and just staggering amounts of wealth. But at the same time, it's also home to some of the quietest and safest states in the entire country, like Vermont and Maine. And you can see that contrast so clearly in a state like Connecticut. On one hand, it's this super wealthy haven for New York City financiers. We're talking some of the richest neighborhoods in the nation. But on the other hand, it's dealing with deep, grinding poverty, creating this society of extremes with a very, very thin middle class. And speaking of New York, when you hear that name, you probably picture the city, right? But get this, New York City is where 3/4 of the state's entire population lives, all crammed onto just a tiny fraction of its land. This basically creates two completely different worlds, the nonstop, bustling city and the vast rural landscape that everyone calls upstate. Okay, from the intensity of the Northeast, let's head south, into a region that's really defined by its warm hospitality, a powerful sense of history, and a pretty complex set of modern-day challenges. The South is just stunningly beautiful. You've got the incredible landscapes of Arkansas, the natural state, and these historic gems like Savannah, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina. But it's also a place that's really grappling with its past, a legacy of racism, and it includes the state with the highest rate of poverty in the entire nation. And that struggle is maybe most visible in Mississippi, a state that unfortunately leads the country in poverty. The situation is so tough that one analysis just put it bluntly: if you don't need to go to Mississippi, don't go. That's a really stark way to put it, but it shows you the hurdles that state is facing. But the South is also a place of incredible achievement. I mean, in Huntsville, Alabama, they built the rockets that took America to the moon. And you can contrast that with New Orleans, Louisiana, a city just overflowing with amazing history and culture, but also struggling with immense poverty. This push and pull is really at the core of understanding the South today. All right, from the South, we're moving into America's heartland, the Midwest. It often gets stereotyped as flyover country, but this is a region built on corn, cars, and a culture of comfort and community. So you can picture it, right? Iowa's cornfields, Michigan's auto factories, and yeah, some might call the region boring, but that stability is exactly what makes it such a great place to raise a family. It's a place with fierce sports loyalties, seriously harsh winters, and of course, the towering influence of its regional capital, Chicago. Now, you might just assume the Dakotas are basically identical, but you would be wrong. They are completely different states. North Dakota is this vast, open landscape shaped by brutal winters and a more recent oil boom. South Dakota, meanwhile, has all this varied terrain, a booming outdoor tourism scene, and, oh yeah, that little thing called Mount Rushmore. That whole flyover stereotype was captured perfectly by a comedian who joked that Oklahoma's state sign should just be a cop saying, "Nothing to see here, folks, keep moving." It's a harsh joke, for sure, but it kind of speaks to how the region is sometimes just overlooked. For the final leg of our journey, we are heading out to the massive landscapes and big dreams of the American West. This is a region that's defined by its incredible scale, its natural beauty, and a real spirit of reinvention. The West is home to the biggest and the smallest. Alaska is the largest state by far, while Wyoming is the least populated. It's where you'll find the innovation of Silicon Valley, the glamour of Hollywood, the rugged cowboy culture of Montana, and, some of the most jaw-droppingly beautiful natural wonders on the entire planet. But this Western dream, it comes with a pretty steep price tag. Take California. It's an economic powerhouse. Its GDP is larger than most countries. But the flip side, it is incredibly expensive, it's intensely crowded, and it's struggling with a major homelessness crisis. And nothing captures the West's sheer scale like this. The nation's most populous state, California, exists in the exact same region as its least populous, Wyoming. One has nearly 40 million people, the other has just over 500,000. The difference is just staggering. So, after this journey all the way across the country, what's the big takeaway? It's that America isn't just one single thing. It's a mosaic, a collection of profoundly different worlds all living side by side. From the crazy energy of New York City to the quiet solitude of Wyoming, the United States is defined by its regional identities. To really understand this country, you have to get that the culture, the economy, and the entire way of life can change dramatically just by crossing a state line. We've journeyed from historic cobblestone streets to wide-open western skies. We've seen the unbelievable variety this country holds. So that leaves just one final question for you. Which piece of this incredible American mosaic would you want to explore first?